Hello, welcome to History in the Shadows, where we descend into the veiled vaults of antiquity, the lost rites, the silenced sibyls, the enigmas etched in stone and forgotten by floods. Tonight, we journey through the sixth serpentine thrown into Petra, the Nabataean jewel swallowed by time, to unearth a cult that turned arid doom into verdant dominion. This saga, forged from fractured inscriptions, desert winds, and dreams of divers, has slumbered untold, a fresh distillation of lore for your lantern. Dust off your explorer's map, wanderers, the aquifers await. Let's start the story. Hidden city of Petra's water goddess cult in the scorched cradle of the Wadi Musa, where the sun scorches the soul and the stars pierce like daggers, the year 312 BCE dawned with a thirst that clawed at the heavens. The Nabataeans, nomadic herders of Arabian fringes turned cunning caravanners, roamed the fringes of Edom's red rock labyrinth. Their world was a brutal chessboard. To the north, Seleucid phalanges hungry for trade routes, to the south, Ptolemaic galleys blockading frankincense paths, and everywhere, the desert, a vast, mocking god demanding tribute in blood and bone. Water was not a gift, it was a thief, stealing lives in mirage veils, leaving mummies for the jackals. It was into this furnace that Mira al-Sabah was born, not in a tent of goat hair but in the shadow of Jebel al-Madba, the mountain of sacrifice, where the Nabataeans first whispered to the rocks. Her mother, Zara, was no ordinary Bedouin, she was the last of the Edomite sibyls, descendants of the Horites who once carved totems into the cliffs, guardians of subterranean veins that pulsed with the earth's hidden tears. Zara's labor came amid a sandstorm that howled like birthing banshees, and as Mira emerged slick with the storm's fury, a flash flood, rare as a prophet's mercy, rushed through the wadi, pooling at the cave's mouth in a mirror of quicksilver. "She is marked," Zara gasped, dipping the babe's brow in the sacred surge. Alat's chosen, the veiled one's voice in flesh. Alat, the water goddess, was no Olympian fancy but a primal force, born from the Nabataeans' fusion of Arabian Al-Lat, the unseen mother, and the Edomite spring spirits, fierce nymphs who lured wanderers to drowning bliss. To the Nabataeans, she was the Veiled Siren, robed in mist, crowned with aqueduct arches, her form a sinuous wave etched in canyon walls. Her cult was the bedrock of their ascent from nomads to nation-builders. Where others perished in the Negev spake, the Nabataeans thrived, channeling wadis into cisterns, flash floods into fountains, turning desolation into a verdant nexus of spice and silk. But Alat demanded devotion. Priestesses, the Aqulat Watersisters, initiated in midnight rites, their bodies tattooed with serpentine conduits, minds attuned to the aquifer's murmurs. Mira's infancy was a baptism in secrecy. Zara, exiled from the main clans for her foreign sorceries, raised her in a cleft hermitage, a natural amphitheater where echoes mimicked the goddess's laughter. By toddling age, Mira chased droplets down slick granite, her laughter summoning more, or so the winds whispered. Zara taught her the cult's lore, how Alat, spurned by the Skyfather Dushra for her fluid rebellion, retreated to the earth's womb, birthing oases from spite. She gives life, but takes it back in tempests, Zara intoned, grinding lapis into unguents for the sacred pools. The Aqulat bind her with blood and chant, betray her, and the sands swallow whole cities. As the sun wheeled higher, Nabataean fortunes crested. Under King Areda's eye, the Sudi, they seized the incense route's throat, Petra emerging not as a sprawl but a symphony in stone, tombs and temples hewn from living roseate sandstone, facades blushing at dawn like lovers' blushes. The sick, that mile-long fissure, was Alat's antechamber, walls veined with conduits that captured every dewdrop, every flash flood fury, funneling it to the city's heart. There, the Wadi Madaha's heart pulsed with the Khazar al-Bint, Dushra's fortress, but beneath lurked the true sanctum, the Aquila vault, a labyrinth of karsts and channels where the Watersisters communed. Mira turned 7 amid the clink of chisels, as Petra's masons, guided by Aqulat divinations, carved the Treasury, the Khazna, its urn a font for Alat's libations. Zara, summoned by oracle dreams, presented Mira to High Priestess Lyra, a crone whose skin crinkled like dried wadis, eyes milky as moonlit pools. Lyra tested the child in the vault's chamber of echoes, a dome where drips from ceiling fissures formed a natural lyre. Sing to her, little wave, Lyra commanded. Mira, fearless as a flash flood, trilled the Edomite hymn, voice clear as cistern chime. The chamber trembled, unseen conduits gurgled, spilling fresh cascades into parched basins. Gasps rippled through the veiled circle. The siren speaks through her, Lyra proclaimed. Mira was anointed Aqulat initiate, her veins pricked with obsidian to mingle blood with brine, binding her to Aqulat's tide. The cult's rites were a dance of duality, dawn ablutions in rooftop gardens, where priestesses channeled aqueducts to mist the air, evoking Aqulat's breath, nocturnal immersions in the vault's sacred cenote, a bottomless sinkhole fed by fossil aquifers, where visions bloomed like water lilies. They divined wars and weddings, a blocked conduit foretold Ptolemaic incursions, a sudden spring heralded bountiful caravans. Aqulat's idols, serpentine women with amphory hips, faces veiled in cascading calcite, dotted hidden niches, anointed with myrrh and date wine. But power bred peril. The Aqulat wielded not just water but whispers, poisoning rivals' wells, flooding trade rivals' camps, their espionage veiled as divine whim. By Mira's 14th summer, Petra bloomed as the Arabs' Venice, caravans from Yemen's myrrh groves to Gaza's ports converging in her markets, gold and gossip flowing freer than the fountains. Mira, now a full water sister, her robes embroidered with wave runes, patrolled the conduits with Lyra's acolyte, a sharp-tongued youth named Kale. Son of a Seleucid defector turned Nabataean scout, Kale was no priest but a bridge builder, his hands calloused from arching viaducts that spanned wadis like Aqulat's arms. Tall, with sun-bleached curls and eyes like polished turquoise, rare as the gems they traded, he chafed at the cult's cloister. Waters for quenching thirst, not chaining souls, he'd mutter, hammering keystones while Mira chanted blessings over the flow. Their bond sparked in the six gloaming, during a rite to purify the Treasury's urn after a caravan assassin's desecration. As thunder grumbled, flash floods menaced, Mira led the invocation, her voice weaving through the gorge like a silver thread. Kale, shoring a breached channel, glanced up, transfixed by her silhouette against lightning, robes translucent with spray. "You're no ghost, Mira," he called, voice rough as rubble. "You're the storm that saves us." She turned, veil slipping, revealing lips curved in defiance. "And you're the fool who damns it." From that eve, stolen vigils became their ritual, debating Aqulat's mercy amid starlit scaffolds, his engineering clashing with her esoterica. Love bloomed subterranean, kisses tasting of salt and stone, vows exchanged in echo chambers where words drowned in drips. Yet the desert's envy stirred. To the west, Ptolemy II Philadelphus, the flute player, cast covetous eyes on Petra's purse strings, his spies slithering like asps through the souks. Chief among them, Darius the Shadowed, a half-Greek mercenary with a scar-laced grin and a tongue oiled in honeyed lies. Posing as a Bosporan trader, he wooed merchants, mapping aqueducts under guises of water rights pacts. Whispers reached Lyra, conduits sabotaged, cisterns poisoned with gypsum to calcify the flow. Aqulat weeps, the high priestess divined, her visions fogged with betrayal's brine. Mira, attuned as a divining rod, traced the taint to Darius, his lodgings reeking of Nile lotus, not Arabian adder. The cult convened in the vault's heart pool, a chamber where geothermal vents bubbled Aqulat's tears, warm springs laced with minerals that healed or hallucinated. Veiled in steam, the Aqulat circled the cenote, palms pressed to sandstone pulsing with subterranean rhythm. Lyra invoked the rite of the veiled reckoning, blood-mingled water ladled into a chalice, drunk to summon visions. Mira quaffed deepest, her trance birthed a prophecy, Darius not alone, but harbinger of a greater flood, Ptolemaic legions massing at Rhinocolura, poised to dam the Wadi Araba and starve Petra. "The siren demands a sacrifice," Mira gasped, surfacing. "One who bridges worlds, to drown the invaders in their hubris." Kale, eavesdropping from a service tunnel, his builders access a secret vein, overheard doom. Torn between love and lineage, he confronted Mira at dawn's first blush, atop the urn tomb's scaffold. "I'll go to the Ptolemies," he vowed, gripping her hands slick with dew. "Pose as defector, map their weaknesses, turn their dam against them." Mira's eyes stormed. Al-Sabah forbids it, the bridge breaks, the waters rage. But Kale, ever the engineer, slipped away at dusk, leaving a talisman, a lapis vial etched with their oath, filled with heartpool essence. For when the flood comes, bind it back to us. Darius's web tightened. By autumn's equinox, Ptolemaic envoys, cloaked in crocodile pelts, paraded into Petra under truce banners, demanding tribute, half the frankincense tithe, or face the Nile's wrath. King Aretas, robed in purple-dyed camel wool, hosted the feast in the great temple's forecourt, fountains arcing like Al-Sabah's applause. Mira, veiled among the serving watersisters, palmed a lotus from an envoy's cup, its pollen a Ptolemaic signature. Darius, lounging as trade advisor, locked eyes with her across the revelry, his smile a serpent's coil. That night, as hyenas yowled, he cornered her in the sick's throat, blade glinting. Pretty Sibyl, your springs sing sweetly. Share their song, or I'll carve the notes from your throat. Mira's counter was Al-Sabah's own, a hidden nozzle, triggered by her heel, unleashed a pressurized jet, conduit water honed to a lash, slamming Darius against the wall, ribs cracking like dry wadi beds. She bound him in vine cords, dragging him to the vault for interrogation. Under the heartpole's steam torture, truths bubbled, Kale captured en route, now bait in Ptolemy's camp, his engineering gifts to buy time. Darius leered through blisters, the boy builds their dam, your goddess drowns in it. Enraged, Mira invoked the lesser rite, drowning him in the cenote's shallows, his gurgles echoing as Al-Sabah's judgment. The Aqulat mobilized. Lyra, frail but fierce, decreed the grand awakening, a ritual to rouse Al-Sabah's full fury, channeling every cistern, every karst vein into a cataclysmic surge. Petra's hidden heart thrummed, workmen, sworn to secrecy, rigging aqueducts with explosive clay plugs, priestesses chanting in the high place, blood offerings staining the altar's crimson. Mira led the vanguard, a cadre of watersisters disguised as camel trains, slipping west under cover of Habub winds. Their mission, infiltrate the Ptolemaic dam site on the Wadi Araba, spike the foundations with heartpool salts, corrosive crystals that would erode mortar like tears on stone. The journey was Al-Sabah's trial, mirages mocking with phantom oases, scorpions veiling paths in venom. Mira's visions guided, a dream of Kale chained by the Nile's echo, his talisman glowing. They reached the frontier at moonless midnight, the dam a behemoth of Nile-sourced limestone, arches mocking Nabataean finesse. Slipping past sentries drugged with poppy-laced dates, the sisters bored into the base with augers of Edomite bronze. As salts dissolved in hidden crevices, Mira felt the pull, Al-Sabah's tide rising, a subterranean roar. Back in Petra, the awakening peaked. On the solstice, as stars wheeled like water wheels, the Aqulat massed in the theater's bowl, carved seats a natural amphitheater for the goddess's opera. Lyra, atop the stage's royal niche, unveiled the prime idol, a colossal Al-Sabah, hewn from rose-veined quartz, her veil a cascade of embedded conduits. Incense of myrrh and mastic swirled, drums mimicked heartbeats, flutes the flow. Mira, returned bloodied but unbroken, joined the circle, quaffing the chalice laced with Kale's vial. Visions cascaded, the dam cracking, waters reversing like a bidden tide, Ptolemaic camps awash in their own arrogance. Dawn broke with thunder, all natural, or Al-Sabah's whim. Reports flooded via carrier pigeons, the Araba dam breached, not by salts alone but a divine quake, floods sweeping legions into the Dead Sea's maw. Ptolemy's survivors fled, envoys suing for the very peace they'd spurned. Aretas's court erupted in jubilation, Petra's fountains ran freer, trade swelled like spring swells. Kale returned, gaunt but grinning, his defection a feint, maps fed to the enemy riddled with false veins, ensuring the flood's fury. Yet victory's nectar soured swift. Whispers slithered, the awakening's cost. Lyra, drained by the rite, withered like a spent conduit, her final breath a warning, Al-Sabah gives, but hoards the debt. The Veiled One sees lovers' chains. Mira, crowned high priestess in a vault-veiled ceremony, felt the goddess's gaze, heavy as hydrostatic pressure. Kale, ennobled as royal aquifer master, pressed their union, a wedding to bind Nabataean bloodlines, cult and crown. But Aqulat's cult forbade it. Watersisters wedded only the waves, their wombs channels for divine seed alone. We'll rewrite the runes, Kale urged in their cliffside bower, tracing her tattoos with builder's chalk. Mira wavered, heart a conflicted current. The fracture widened with Aretas's heir, Prince Obodas, a hawkish youth whose ambitions outstripped his piety. Enamored of Hellenistic pomp, he chafed at the Aqulat's sway, superstitions chaining commerce, he sneered in council, eyeing Rome's rising shadow. Spies in his retinue, whispers of Seleucid gold, plotted to supplant the cult with a solar pantheon, damning Aqulat's vault to build a grand hippodrome. Mira divined the treachery in a cenote trance, visions of Petra parched, her sands swallowing the sick stone by stone. Confrontation brewed at the Hyrcania festival, Petra's bacchanal of harvest and hubris. Torches blazed along the colonnaded street, revelers danced to sistrum and tambour, wine from Gaza vines flowing freer than forbidden floods. Obodas, crowned with laurels, unveiled his reform engineers, Kale among them, unwitting pawn, to redirect conduits to public baths, sidelining the vault. Mira, veiled in state, stepped forward amid the throng. The siren built this city, prince. Divert her gift, and she diverts yours. Obodas laughed, chalice raised. Goddesses are for goatherds, priestess. Petra bows to progress. That midnight, betrayal crested. Obodas's assassins, cloaked in Ptolemaic remnants, stormed the vault, torches to ignite the incense caches, smokes to choke the springs. Mira, forewarned by a dripping omen, rallied the Aqulat. Battle erupted in the karsts, daggers flashing like fish scales, watersisters wielding conduit pipes as flails, steam vents hissing like vipers. Kale, roused from his chambers, barreled in, his hammer felling two foes, only to freeze at the sight. Mira, cornered by Obodas himself, blade at her throat. Yield the cult, bridge builder, the prince snarled, or watch your wave break. Kale lunged, but Aqulat intervened, or so legend etched. A geothermal geyser, triggered by trampled runes, erupted in scalding fury, engulfing Obodas in blistering embrace. He screamed, flesh sloughing like mudslide, collapsing into the cenote's depths. The assassins routed, the vault secured, but cost carved deep, Lyra lost, several sisters scalded to scars. Kale cradled Mira, her side gashed, whispering vows anew. Yet in the aftermath's hush, the goddess's voice echoed in Mira's mind, a tidal warning: love dams the flow, sacrifice unleashes it. Petra endured, but shadows lengthened. Under Aretas III, the builder, Kale's reluctant patron, the city gilded, the monastery, ad-dare, hewn as Aqulat's high eyrie, royal tombs blushing eternal. Mira and Kale's union, sanctioned by oracle fiat as the bridge rite, birthed a daughter, the Lyra, waveborn, destined Aqulat. The cult flourished, its watersisters advising on Rome's creeping encroachments, sabotaging aqueducts in Hasmonean Judea to favor Nabataean wells. Decades flowed. By 106 CE, Trajan's legions lapped at the borders, Petra's independence a drying pool. Mira, silver-veiled and sage, foresaw the end in ceaseless visions, Roman engineers co-opting conduits, Aqulat's voice fading to drip. In her final awakening, a solitary immersion where heart-pool waters lapped her like lovers' regrets, she invoked the ultimate seal, a cataclysmic rite to collapse the six lesser fissures, burying peripheral shrines, rendering the inner sanctum unbreachable. Let the desert reclaim what Rome covets, she murmured, triggering clay-veined explosives with a blood chant. The quake came at vespers, as camel bells told evacuation. Petra shuddered, facades cracking like eggshells, wadis filling with rubble rain. The cult evacuated via hidden shafts to the Negev's oases, carrying idols wrapped in camel plague veils. Kale perished in the tumult, crushed shielding the Lyra. Mira lingered, anointing his pyre with the last vial's essence. Our bridge holds in her veins, she whispered to the sands. The Nabataean kingdom crumbled to Roman province, Petra fading to Bedouin waypoint, her rose-red blush buried under seismic spite in sand dunes drift. The Aqulat scattered, whispers in Himyarite Yemen, echoes in Palmyrene springs, but Thalira's line endured, Sibyls seeding cults from Sahara to Sind. Inscriptions, etched in haste, Alat veils her city, only the worthy sip her secrets. Centuries veiled the truth. Swiss wanderer Johann Burckhardt pierced the sick in 1812, mistaking Alat's altars for Deshera's. Schweinfurth's 19th-century probes glimpsed karst clues but drowned in colonial dust. Only in 2023, amid Jordanian digs funded by desert drones, did the vault's echo chamber yield a lapis vial, intact, its brine birthing bioluminescent blooms under lab light, proof of heartpool alchemy. Inscriptions unfurled, Mira al-Sabah, high Aqulat, she who drowned empires in divine deluge. The hidden city of Petra's water goddess cult endures not in stone alone, but in the aquifers' anonymous pulse, the unseen engineers of survival, the veiled vanguards against oblivion. What flows beneath your feet? A goddess's grudge or grace? Thank you for plumbing the depths of history in the shadows with us. If this subterranean saga quenched your curiosity, like to summon more, subscribe for eternal echoes, and comment, what ancient secret would you unearth? Until the next veil lifts, flow wisely, or be swept away.